Hi, this is Ofoy Murray, the digital reader, and this video has kind of been a long time coming, but I've just kind of been trying to work my head around it. I've also had some concerns just about simply doing this video because I am a digital reader. I take the DRM out of all of my books, but I am strongly against pirating, and that's mainly because you reach a stage in your life where you realize you want to reward people who are creating content that you like with a fair wage, and you don't want to steal from them. There are a lot of arguments people say about piracy. It's hard to get, and they're fighting the system. But I feel like for me at this age, when I look back at the age when I was pulling stuff off of Napster and giving myself excuses why I didn't need to pay and everything, I just kind of feel like once you start making a fair wage, you should be paying people for the things that they produce. I understand that, when you're broke, and, you're going to do what you're going to do. But I feel like once you're able to pay those people to create content you like, keep doing it. It's almost like if you came into work one day and your boss said, I went online and I figured out how to not pay you for the work you're doing. Sorry. That's kind of how I feel about it now at this age. Now, when I was young and I was into Napster, although Napster was a hot mess after a while, because when Napster first started out and file sharing stuff first started out, it was just like, woo, yeah, we got all this free stuff and I'm a broke student and I can get all this stuff. But after a while, it was like basically viruses and fake songs. I eventually stopped, took my stand against piracy because so many songs I was downloading off of file sharing programs weren't good quality. Very often, they were 30-second loops of a song that was 5 minutes long as a song, or it was, some type of ad. It just really kind of got to the point where I was just like, there comes a point in your life where you want to pay for quality. So I'm going to kind of go with an official disclaimer here, in that what I'm showing you is if you have purchased your book, an ebook, and you want to take out the DRM so that you can store it, archive it, or move it to another e-reader that you own. This should not be for sharing. You really, to be honest, should never share ebooks. If somebody is interested in an ebook you read, then you should either direct them to an ebook store where they can read a sample, or tell them to install Libby and get in line to wait for the book that way if they're totally against paying. Or add the book to their wish list and wait for a sale. That's how I am nowadays. Whenever I recommend books that I have read and my brother-in-law is like, oh, well, send me that book. I'm like, dude, I can send you the link so you can read a sample, but you need to pay for it. This is to give you portability. It's to help you archive and back up your information in your books in case, something happens with Amazon or some new technology changes, or another site or area that you're using for ebooks suddenly you start using new software. You'll have a universal format in EPUBs that you can either convert to the hot newness, or you can use those as kind of a baseline that almost all e-readers can read EPUBs. A lot of people don't realize it, but even Kindles now can read EPUBs. And so, you can send a Kindle, you can use the EPUB to send a Kindle. So with all that being said, with my official disclaimer, let me show you how to take the DRM from your Amazon books and from your Adobe Digital Editions books. So to get started, you'll need a couple things. First, you're going to need a Kindle e-reader because you're going to need the serial number from that Kindle e-reader. Next, you're going to need to download and install the version of Adobe Digital Editions, and you're going to have an authorized Adobe Digital Editions account, which you'll be able to do once you install the software. Next, you will have to download and install Calibre. And then once you download and install Calibre, you will also have to download the DRM plugin and the DASCM plugin. And links for all of those are going to be in my descriptions, but of course I'll go through and show you where you go to find those things. Once you have all those things, then you're going to have pretty much everything you need to get started. So step one, let's download Calibre. I call it Calibre. A lot of people call it Calibre. I just think Libre is Libre is about books, so I call it Calibre. So I just did an internet search, Calibre, and now we're going to go to the download. Pick what works for you. I have a Mac. Some of you may have Windows. Whichever you want. I'll just pick, for right now, pick my Mac. And you can download Calibre. You can also support Calibre. After you use it a while, I feel like if you're getting good use out of it, drop them $20 or so, or $25 or something. I feel it's definitely worth it. So first you're going to download Calibre. Then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to, if you don't already have it, you're going to download Adobe Digital Editions. So we go to that site. Adobe Digital Editions. And once again, pretty easy. You can install it for Mac or for Windows. So next thing that we're going to be downloading is we're going to be downloading DRM, and I've included the links. I'm going to include the links to all of this in my description. So I'm just kind of going through this now as I see it. So the next big thing to import is DRM, and that's on GitHub. And we're going to go to DRM, and we're going to go to full release, and then we're going to download the DRM tools. This is 7.1, so you'll download that. And then the next thing that we're going to download is we're going to download from GitHub DeASCM. And this is going to basically, what it's going to do is that whenever you won't actually have to use the Adobe Digital Editions program to open up and deal with your books. This will allow you so that whenever you download a book using Adobe Digital Editions, you can just open it straight up in Calibre, and it'll open up in Calibre and automatically strip out the DRM. Same thing, we're going to go to releases, and then we're going to go ahead and download this. Okay, so we've downloaded everything that we are going to need. You've downloaded and installed Calibre, I hope. You've downloaded and installed Adobe Digital Editions. You've downloaded DRM, the plugin. You've downloaded DASCM, the plugin. And the last piece of the puzzle that you're going to have is you're going to need the serial number of the Kindle device that you're going to use so that Calibre will be able to pull the DRM from Kindle Books. And the way you find the serial number on your Kindle is you go to Settings, Device Options, and Device Info, and the serial number will be there. You can also find it by going onto Amazon and looking at your content devices that are connected. But if you have several Kindles, it's a little bit confusing. For me, the easiest way was just to pick up a Kindle that I wanted to use, go in there and get the serial number that way. So now let's say you have all of those things. The first big step is to authorize your Adobe Digital Editions with an Adobe Digital Editions account. And the way you do that is you open up Adobe Digital Editions, you'll go to Help, Authorize Computer. They have a whole bunch of, they have different options that you may be able to choose, but for us, we're always just going to be choosing AdobeID. And then my password. And my computer has been authorized. So now I have an Adobe Digital Editions account connected with the computer. I already had one, so I just need the password. But if you go to authorize your computer and you don't have an Adobe Digital Editions account, it'll prompt you to create one. And then you would just kind of do the same steps. Okay, so I'm not going to be using Adobe Digital Editions. I'm probably never going to open it again. I'm going to be doing everything through Calibre because it'll pull it down, it'll pull out the DRM and automatically store it. So I'm going to close that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Calibre and I'm going to add the two plugins that I want to add. So I'm going to go to Preferences. I'm going to go to Plugins, and I'm going to go to Load Plugin from File. So I'm going to go with DeASCM first. Well, actually, I'm going to do DRM first. And they also have OBook plugin, and the OBook plugin basically, I don't use it much, but if you have a Kobo, it will basically allow you to do the same thing. If you download a Kobo book into Calibre, it'll pull out the DRM. So we're going to open that. It's a security risk, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we want to do it. And it's been successfully installed. Okay, and then I want to add another one, and the other plugin I want to add is DeASCM, and I want to go ahead and add that. It automatically unzips it. Alright, now I'm going to restart Calibre. Okay, I've restarted Calibre. I'm going to go back to Preferences, and then Preferences. I'm going to choose Plugins. And I know from experience that both of these plugins are in file type, DSCM and DRM. But if you didn't know that, you could actually just search for them, and it will pull it up. Hi, I'm interrupting myself because I was unable to completely clear out my Adobe Digital Editions information from Calibre. I wanted to try to do that so I could kind of show you from scratch how to do it. But I was unable to because Adobe Digital Editions, it gets a little funky if you keep creating an account and uncreating an account. So I just felt like, the safest way is just to kind of walk you through the steps. Of course, this information will be in my comments, and then jump back into my video after I had authorized the Adobe Digital Editions in DASCM, because I just couldn't get that information out. So once you download DASCM into Calibre, when you first go in to customize the settings, you're going to get not authorized for any AdobeID. I was unable to get that because I had already done it once, but you're going to get that. Once you get that, you have a couple options. The first option is you can click on link to ADE account and then enter your Adobe ID credentials to link your Calibre installation to your Adobe ID account if you to your Adobe ID account, and this uses up one of your activations. And that's basically going in and kind of creating an Adobe ID account if you've never had one. The other option is you can have Adobe Digital Editions. If you already have Adobe Digital Editions installed and activated on your machine, then you can just click Import Activation from Adobe Digital Editions, and it'll clone the existing activation that's on your computer. And the last option is what happened with me is if you have used this plugin and everything before, and for some reason you decided not to use it or you're revisiting it, then you can choose Import Existing Activation Backup. Probably for most of y'all, you're not going to use option 3 because this will be the first time that you're doing it. It'll usually be option 1 or 2 to get you set up. And this is for DASCM. So like I said, I'll put this in the comments, but these are 3 different steps you can take. Just remember that when you first go into customize DASCM, that you're going to get not authorized for any AdobeID. And if you don't have an account, you can click link to ADE account and create an Adobe ID. Or if you already have an Adobe ID installed on your computer, then you can just put import activation to ADE. So like I said, since I couldn't show that because I couldn't erase all that information, I just wanted to give you these steps. And now back to the schedule program. It has changed ADE version. You don't ever want to do that. Just leave it at 2.2.01. And then what you're going to do is you're going to export the account encryption key. And I'm putting it in my downloads folder. And cool. Now when you go to DRM, you're going to hit Customize Plugin. For Kindle e-ink ebooks, you're going to put the serial number of the Kindle that you're using. You're just going to type that in. And for Adobe Digital Editions, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Import Existing Key Files. And you will see something that says Adobe. It'll have a bunch of letters, but basically it'll start with Adobe and UUID, and it'll have the key file that you're going to use, and you can go ahead and import that. You just click on it and open it, and it'll pop up in Manage Adobe Digital Editions Keys. Hit OK, apply, and then we're going to restart this. Just close it. And what we're going to do now is show it in action. I'm going to import 2 different Adobe Digital Editions books from different sites to show you that both of those work. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to go to Kobo. And in my account, in my books, I have Righteous Man. I'm going to download that. And then I'm going to go to ebooks.com. And once again, I'm going to go to my bookshelf. And the book I'm going to download is Palace of Illusions. I'm going to download that puppy and download it in the EPUB format. All right. So you can see I have two URL links that are ASCM. They don't mean anything now, but watch what happens when I go to Calibre and I go to add books, and I'm going to add both of these. You see I have Judge Dredd and I have Palace of Illusions, and I'm going to, usually what I do is whenever I get books that don't have a lot of information, I go ahead and I add metadata to them. But before I add the metadata, I just want to show you that there's no more DRM on them. See, that one, no DRM. And now for Palace of Illusions. No DRM. You see it has this little funky book cover, but like I said, we'll fix that. Cool way, what you can do is you go to edit metadata individually. And then once you get to the metadata, you can go to download metadata. And it'll go out on the web and it'll pull, if it can, it'll pull covers, it'll pull information. You'll see I've got two results. It says it has a cover and a summary, and this one has a cover and a summary. I think I'm going to go with this one. It seems to be a little bit more in depth. And I click OK. And it also gives me some cover options. I'm going to pick the one that's higher res. Click OK. Now what will happen when you pull metadata is, for some reason, it'll always automatically rate the book. You can just recycle that and get rid of it. And click OK. Same thing, let me do Palace of Illusions. I'm going to edit the metadata individually. Go down to download metadata. Once again, I've lucked out, and these have a cover and the summary. I think I'll go with this one. Since this one is an audio book, I'll go with this one. Two nice covers. I'm picking the one with the highest resolution. Okay. Once again, it's rated. I just recycle that rating. Boom. I'm good. So now what I'm going to do, which I almost always do, is since I've added metadata and I've updated the cover, I want to reconvert these books so that all of that information gets baked into the EPUB. So I'm going to go to Convert, Bulk Convert. I want EPUBs. Now it's reconverted with all the new information. And what I also do is, EPUBs is universal, but one other thing that's low-key universal is MOBI, the MOBI format. So I always do EPUB and MOBI just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and convert again. Bulk convert. Go to MOBI and hit OK. As far as Kindle books, let's jump in and get a Kindle book. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the web. Let me look at my books. I am still trying not to buy too many books, so I'm just checking to see if there's anything here that's super cheap. And this is my book list. This is the list of books that I keep. And I did see I had a $3.99 book, so I'll pick that up. Where is it? Big Ape Lawless Book 2. And buy now with one click. I know a lot of people use Kindle Unlimited. I'm a book owner, so I like to own my books. And I already bought it with one click. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and go to my content library. Go to my books, Big Ape. And what I'm going to do is go to more actions and download and transfer via USB. My Paperwhite is the e-reader that I use. Doesn't really matter which e-reader you pick. When you send it over to Calibre, it'll automatically be the DRM will be taken out based off of the book the serial number you put in Calibre. Okay, let me get out of here and open this up. You can see there it is. It's in AZW format. Let me open Calibre up again. And let me add it. There's the book right here. And let me go ahead and add it. Boom. No information. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and add that metadata to it. I see I got a cover and a summary. Excellent. The cover they currently have has the highest res, so I'll keep that. And I'm going to get rid of the rating. Got my info. Going to go ahead and convert it. First, I'm going to convert it to EPUB. And just so you know, you automatically will know that the book has no DRM if you can convert it. Because if you ever try and convert a book that has DRM, it'll tell you you can't convert it because it has DRM. So I made it an EPUB, and it automatically added it as a Mobi. Sometimes when you download the book from Amazon, when it takes the DRM out, it'll automatically add it as a Mobi. But sometimes it'll be in there as an AZW. So either way, I'm going to go ahead and redo the book as a Mobi. Done. And just to make sure, let's see if we can pop that sucker open. And good to read. So that's pretty much it. Now you're set up so that if you get an Amazon book and you download it, you can just import it into Calibre. It rips out the DRM. If you get a book from that's Adobe Digital Editions, with the exception of Google Play, sometimes Google Play you actually need to have a Google device to view the book on. But I don't use Google Play that often because it's so big they don't need my help. But if you have Amazon or, for example, Smashwords, ebooks.com, I'll make a video where I go through kind of like my top 5 ebook stores online. And now, whether it's Adobe Digital Editions or whether it's Amazon, you can just buy the book wherever you want and drop it into Calibre. Calibre has tons of functionality. You can definitely have to play with it if you want. But if you can do these couple things, then you will be somebody who is a digital reader, who owns your books, who has them in universal formats, and you can do whatever you want with those formats, store them or whatever. So I hope that was kind of helpful. Hopefully it gets you on track. And this is the digital reader. Sometime soon I'll have a video, like I said, about my top 5 ebook places, ebook stores online to buy ebooks from. But for now, questions, comments. If you're having any issues, shoot me a comment in the section of this video. And good luck, and keep reading.